Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Mars Needs Movies. I am your host, Precious D. Today, my co-host is my brother, Pretentious D. Welcome back to the show, Delano.
Thanks for having me back. It's good to be here.
On this show, we look at movies, and occasionally we'll do TV shows too, about alien invasions, infiltrations, incursions, and visitations. And today's movie is Body Snatchers from 1993. It is the third adaptation of The Body Snatchers, the novel by Jack Finney. There are 4 altogether, as well as various other movies that just rip it off.
Yes.
It's 87 minutes in English, in color. The budget was $12 million. The box office, Delano, over or under?
I'm going to say under.
Under 428,000.
Oh, no.
868.
Oh, poor
It always
Meg Tilly.
I
Oh.
always am amused when it gets down to the dollar.
Oh.
Like, and not 32 cents. Really? You're not going to go that specific for me? Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Speaking of Meg
shame.
Tilly, it stars Gabriel Anwar as Marty Malone, Terry Kinney as Steve Malone, Billy Worth as Tim Young, Meg Tilly as Carol Malone, Riley Murphy as Andy Malone, Christine Elise as Jen Platt, R. Lee Emery as every character he's ever played, General Platt, Forrest Whitaker as Major Matthew Collins, only half the characters he's played, Kathleen Doyle as Diana Platt, G. Elvis Phillips as Pete, and Tonea Stewart as Mrs. Fitzpatrick. Who was that, the teacher?
I don't remember.
Let's see. And the director was Abel Ferreira.
And one of the producers,
One of the producers did the other one.
was the director of the 1956,
No.
the 1978 version.
Yes.
Okay.
Robert H. Solo was the producer, and he had produced the 78 version.
Okay.
And he says it's not a remake. It was a different story and set of circumstances. And yeah, it's got the same basic premise, but it takes a very different approach.
Yes.
Delano, what are your initial feelings and thoughts?
There were some very good elements
Mm-hmm.
and some elements I did not care for so much, which I can get into. I'm going to say of the 3 versions, this is my least favorite, I'm going to say.
Okay, that's fair.
I know there are some critics who think this is the best version, but
Yeah.
this is my least favorite. I didn't hate it. I sad it did so poorly at the box office because I thought in
Did
general.
you just say some critics thought this was the best version?
Yeah.
Who?
Can't remember, but I know I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you get into the whole analysis section on Wikipedia? It was quite long.
I saw
Apparently, because
that.
some German scholar wrote a whole book about this or something. It does say in the Wikipedia, this section suffers from having only one real reference. But apparently it was some guy's pet project.
Oh, yeah. This section relies largely or entirely upon a single source.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is quite a
Quite an
bit
extensive analysis.
here.
Some of which I agree with,
Somebody
some of
wrote
which I
their
disagree with.
dissertation on this.
I'm thinking so, yeah. Well, if you've ever gone to the Pop Culture Association conference, you will find there is some academic nerd who's written a very serious paper about any pop culture thing you can
You've
think
got
of.
to, because the obvious Casablanca's been done.
Right. So somebody's going to write their dissertation on, or at least a paper on, Saved by the Bell, or
Yeah.
whatever it's going to be.
Who's the boss?
Yep.
Like Abed. Who was the boss?
What was that?
In Community.
Oh, I never saw Community.
He's taking a class, I think, on television studies or sitcoms
Right.
or whatever. And this guy's written a book called "Who's the Boss?" about who's the boss,
Okay,
analyzing who is the boss.
I see.
And Abed is on the spectrum,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, Angela's the boss.
Okay.
Because she's literally the
She
boss.
is literally the boss, yes.
And the guy's trying to get deeper. But I think he ends up demonstrating.
Is Frankenstein the monster?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
I think he ends up demonstrating definitively that Angela is the boss and totally destroying the guy's whole premise.
Nice.
There's a similar, I'm going to get on a tangent here in a minute. A similar episode where he does a, like, Nicolas Cage, good actor or bad actor.
Okay.
And can't come to a definitive answer on that one, I think.
That's a hard question.
Yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of good actors, so this movie
Yeah.
has at least one Academy Award winner, Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
And Meg Tilly has been nominated for an Academy Award. Yes, she has been.
Has she?
She's been nominated.
I thought Jennifer had been.
They are one of two sets of sisters who have both been nominated for Academy Awards. Do you know the other?
You know what it was?
Do you know the other set of sisters?
No. What it was is something.
You don't want to play
one of the
trivia.
quotes in a second. Okay. One of the quotes when about something we'll get to in a minute. When Meg is talking about her sister, she's mentioning her being nominated and been in more as if she had a better career. Like she's been in more big things than I could ever dream. Meg is talking about Jennifer and saying Jennifer's been in more and bigger shit than I could even think of, and has been nominated for an Academy Award.
Right.
So that made me think that Meg had not been.
No, they have. They both have been nominated, and there is one other pair of sisters who has been nominated, who actually both won. Any guesses?
I have no idea.
Olivia de Havilland and Joan Fontaine.
Okay,
we're going way back.
Yeah,
there.
And they don't have the same name.
Yeah.
Like those other guys. Gunsmoke and Mission Impossible.
Oh, gosh. Oh, now I'm failing the trivia quiz.
Yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
Let's move, plowing forward. Yeah. They've both been in kaiju movies that we did early on. So I had read long ago, and apparently now it's just been demoted to rumor that's been denied by both of them. I had read long ago that Jennifer Tilly was Meg Tilly's body double in this movie.
Which I've read recently, yes.
And I hadn't seen it in a while when I first read that. So I made an assumption that is not what people are saying. Because then it was like, no, she was her body double for the nude scene.
Right.
And that didn't make any sense. I had assumed that there was a scene where Meg Tilly is looking at herself in a pod just forming, and that they'd gotten Jennifer to be in the pod. And that would have made sense.
Sure.
Like how Linda Hamilton's sister.
and her sister.
Yeah. But no, apparently they were all saying that for the nude scene, Jennifer Tilly stepped in. And Jennifer's like, I don't even like doing my own nude scenes. Why the fuck would I go to do her nude scene for her? And then Meg was like, Jennifer has this huge career. Why would she come down to Wyoming or Minnesota or wherever the fuck they were filming for this B-grade movie just to take her clothes off for me? The thing is, there was a body double, which also doesn't make sense. I'll get to that in a second. Who is just listed as Jennifer in the credits. So people made an assumption.
Oh, because I've read things saying it is Jennifer Tilly.
They both are quoted as saying no, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. And why would we have done that?
Right. And it's also weird because they're both of age at the time, and they've both done nude scenes in other movies. Yeah. So
no, the only reason would be if you wanted them both in the shot at the same time. Right. But we have the fake Meg Tilly deflating as Meg Tilly comes out of the closet. But I didn't rewind it after I read that. Right. But it looks like she steps out and we pan up her naked body because she's a double who's, if you haven't seen any of these Body Snatcher movies, these pods make replicas of you while you're sleeping and then take over your life. And they absorb all your memories and shit while they're doing that. So because she's just been made, she doesn't have any clothes on. She comes out, the pod was hiding in the closet. But it seemed like it panned up her and we saw her face. But maybe it panned up and then cut away to the kid's reaction, and then we saw her face. I don't know. Yeah. But Meg was complaining that the woman they got for her body double had like really huge breasts, and it was ridiculous. They seemed reasonable size, right? Not. I don't know. I don't know. So apparently, it is not Jennifer, and would not have made any sense for it to be Jennifer because it's not what I had imagined where you want them both in the shot at the same time. So there you go, folks.
Okay. Little confusing. As far as the rest of the cast, you mentioned it was Army. as the general.
Oh, yeah.
Though he was much more restrained. For those of you who don't know him, he was an actual real-life drill sergeant who is most famous for being the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
And
sort of reprising that role in many movies.
Many movies.
Things like Frighteners.
He's in, is it Forgetting Sarah Marshall that he's in?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, so he is kind of the stereotypical guy, drill sergeant, who yells abusive things. And in this, as a general, he's actually much more restrained than he usually
Generals
is as a
get
drill
in
sergeant.
Trouble if they go around slapping soldiers, enlisted men, and whatever.
Yeah. But in Full Metal Jacket, he does the whole, really insulting the soldiers to try to get them into shape, sort of thing. But
so the big difference in this movie is that it takes place on a military base.
Yes.
Instead of the first one's a small town, the other one's a big town. This is a military base, and the interesting change in perspective. The interesting thing about that is that the military is already so conformed that it might
uniform.
That it might be difficult to tell at first who's been replaced,
right,
and who has not, which is what they were going for. Why they chose to put it on the military base. But our main characters are a bunch of civilians. They've come in to do some environmental testing.
Yes, he works for the main character, the father of the family, works for the Environmental Protection Agency, and he's been sent to the base to do some research.
So, which brings us to the plot. So we got a plot here from Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. Steve Malone, an agent from the Environmental Protection Agency, is sent to a military base in Alabama to test possible effects on the surrounding ecological system caused by military actions. What were they doing? That was
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's pretty vague about what the military is up to that might be poisoning the environment. With him are Marty, his teenage daughter from his first marriage, and she's really our main character.
Yeah.
Carol, his second wife, and Andy, Marty's half-brother. On their way to the base, they stop at a gas station. In the restroom, Marty is threatened by an MP with a knife. When he notices her fear, he warns, "They get you when you sleep," and lets her go. Steve and his family move into their new home on the base, and Marty makes friends with the base commander's daughter, Jen. On the first day in daycare, Andy runs away because he is recognized as an outsider among the other conformist children. So they've been doing finger painting.
Mm-hmm.
And all the other kids paint the exact same picture. Well, series of smudges.
Yeah, it's finger painting.
It's finger painting, but it's
abstract.
The traces, the swoops are all identical.
Right.
And his is not anywhere close to that.
Which I thought was one of the more interesting scenes in the movie.
Yeah. He is picked up and brought home by helicopter pilot Tim. Marty and Tim are attracted to each other. While examining soil samples, Steve is asked by medical officer Major Collins if the toxification of the environment could have caused an ongoing rash of people afraid to sleep and believing their loved ones are imposters. And he tells him no.
Right.
Or that's not part of the pathology that we've observed. In the evening, Marty and Jen go to the bar attended by the station's military personnel, where they meet Tim and the MP who threatened Marty at the gas station. With no emotion, he denies that they ever met before. A group of soldiers pick giant pods from the river running by the base. When Andy wakes up, he enters his mother's room. Carol's body crumbles to dust, while a naked, soulless double, which may be literally a double or not, who knows, emerges from the closet. Nobody believes Andy's story that his real mother is dead. The following day, Steve witnesses an accidental injury on a soldier that makes no sense. Steve takes a sample from the injured soldier's suit and speaks to a friend over the phone about examining the specimen. So yeah, his leg should be cut open, but it looks like there's maybe plant matter underneath or something.
Yeah.
His buddy's like, "No, there's nothing wrong with that. What are you talking about?" That night, Marty falls asleep during a bath, and tendrils emerging from the giant pods enter her mouth and nose. I was just going to plow ahead. The pod is in the ceiling tiles above her.
Yeah.
And as it's growing bigger, the ceiling starts sagging in. She ends up, the double ends up falling into the tub on top of her. Carol coaxes Steve to sleep and tendrils enter him as well. Marty wakes, rips the tendrils from her face, rushes into Steve's room and wakes him. The tendril removal causes doubles of Marty and Steve to collapse and dissolve. Carol attempts to convince Steve that the takeover is a good thing, claiming that it ends confusion and anger. She also claims that there is no place to go, as the events at the base are not an isolated incident. And I read a couple places that Meg wrote this monologue herself.
I read that too, yes.
Don't know why.
That she improvised it on the set.
Maybe she couldn't remember the lines. Why did?
Or maybe it was that kind of set where they were encouraged to just run with it.
Yeah.
But it's really good, and we can come back to that in a second when you're done with the...
No, go ahead.
Play. Well, so her speech, she gets up and says something to the effect of, where are you going to go? There's no place, where you can go, and there are no people left like you in the world. That speech has been sampled at least twice.
Okay.
For industrial songs.
All right.
Industrial, the music genre, not industrial like industrial musicals. Once by Skinny Puppy.
Okay.
Which, if you're not familiar with it, Skinny Puppy was an industrial band, very much of the time and style of, say...
Are you suggesting I'm not familiar with industrial music?
I am not.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, yeah. Jane's Addiction, Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, groups like that. Skinny Puppy would be one of those. And so they do...
Out of all those names, Skinny Puppy's the one I've never heard of.
Okay. Well, yeah, they're not as good as them, but they're very much of that genre. So they sample that speech for one of their songs. But then there's another group that I was not familiar with, but I've since did a deep dive on it, called Power Man 5000, which is a more recent industrial band and hip-hop and other things. And they also sample Meg Tilly's speech.
Okay.
But the interesting thing about this band, they do a lot of science fiction themed. One of their songs is called When Worlds Collide.
Okay.
One of their albums is called Tonight the Stars Revolt, which is a classic 1950 science fiction story.
I didn't know that one.
And the other interesting thing that ties everything together is the main guy of Power Man 5000 he goes under the stage name Spider One. And it's one of those bands where it's really him. There's lots of other people in the band, but he's the only consistent guy.
Right.
But he is the younger brother of Rob Zombie.
Okay.
So there's an overlap there, which is going to lead me to one other tangent, and I'll be quick. When we first started this podcast, we talked about how Mars Needs Women has inspired numerous songs, including one by Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
But I forgot at the time, and I'm mentioning it now because my brain is a little OCD. One that I didn't mention at the time, the band Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, on their album, their eponymous debut album, they have a song cycle called Mars Needs Women, Space is a Lonely Place, and Mars Needs Women, They Are Here. Okay. So I just felt the need to mention that.
I started listening to that. Is it just an instrumental?
Yeah, all their stuff's instrumental. It's jazz banjo.
Then what the fuck is the... I just don't see the point in even having a fucking title that refers to any title at all. It should just be Opus number 1, Opus number 2. But particularly a title...
Jazz in G minor or whatever.
A title like Mars Needs Women, and then the tune's just got nothing to do with that at all.
It's jazz, man. I can't.
Jazz.
Well, speaking of science fiction inspired music, one of the members of Bella Fleck and the Flecktones is Roy Future Man Wooten, who wears a Star Trek uniform, a homemade Star Trek uniform on stage, and plays his own instrument, the Synthax Drumatar, which is I thought you would enjoy that.
I don't know.
Anyway, I was particularly embarrassed when I overlooked that in our first episode because I actually own a copy of that album, as any would-be banjo player does.
I think the fact that there's no lyric about Mars needing women might be why you forgot.
It could be. Yes, they don't sing the phrase. But anyway.
People say to me, Precious D, what don't you like about jazz? And I say, the way it sounds.
Please send your letters to Precious D.
Anywho.
Not Pretentious D about the jazz hatred there.
Fuck jazz. Steve, Marty, and Andy flee the house. Carol emits a mechanical scream that alerts the other pod people. So they took this idea from the previous movie.
Yes.
And since it's the same producer, they're allowed to.
Yeah, the very famous Donald Sutherland scream.
Yeah. Now the majority, they swarm over the base chasing the remaining humans. Tim is attacked by his friends and escapes. After hiding Marty and Andy in a warehouse, Steve enters Collins' office. A hysterical major calls for help, but the line is blocked. A group of pod people arrive, led by Base Commander General Platt. While Steve hides, the pod people try to convince Collins that the individual is not important and that only conformity can solve the world's problems. Collins shoots himself rather than live in such a world.
Now, Collins, this being Forrest Whitaker, is very unhinged at this point, but he's also been doing uppers to keep from sleeping because, like in the other versions of this, you have to. They can only take you over when you're asleep.
Yeah.
So he's been. So it's a rather over-the-top performance.
At one point, once they hit like a critical mass, they're just forcing the rest of the base. They're like injecting them.
Yeah, they're just sedating them. Yeah.
But one guy's fighting back pretty well as he can. Steve returns to his children and says he found a way out. They drive aimlessly through the military base as loudspeakers shout out instructions for spreading the invasion by carrying out pods in trucks. Realizing that her father was replaced while he was away and off camera, Marty swerves the car to the side and tries to escape with Andy. Tim arrives and Marty takes his gun and shoots the Steve duplicate. Pod Steve's body shrinks into a mass of goo. Tim gets hold of a helicopter gunship, but Marty and Andy are taken away by the pod people to the base infirmary, where the remaining human beings are being systematically duplicated by pods. Tim rescues Marty despite her pod duplicate having already awakened. Marty and Tim leave the building pretending to be pod people so they can get to Tim's helicopter to escape. Jen greets them without emotion, but surreptitiously tells Marty she saw Andy looking for her. When Marty reacts with interest, Jen alerts the other pod people. Tim and Marty get in the helicopter and Andy runs up to them. After taking off, Andy, who is actually a pod duplicate, tries to bring down the helicopter, and this is a movie that is not afraid to throw a child or a child-presenting alien out of a helicopter.
Yes. Yep.
After a scuffle, a heartbroken Marty throws Pod Andy out of the helicopter to his death in a very bad special effect.
Oh, yeah.
But what are you going to do? Actually throw a child out of a helicopter?
Well, what they would used to do is get a little person and person stunt person.
Or you just throw a dummy.
Yeah.
Tim destroys the trucks filled with pods with the helicopter's rockets. So not only do songs sample Meg Tilly, but this movie samples Meg Tilly's speech.
Oh.
But there's one part where she's hearing it kind of slowed down.
Oh, yeah. That's
like, where are you going to go? There's no one left.
Right.
And then I think she just quotes it at the end. I don't know.
There's a whole narration laid over the film, which I thought was
daughter's
unnecessary.
Been narrating. While they land on another base, the words of Pod Carol can be heard, suggesting that the phenomenon may have already spread beyond the army base. So yeah, that's where they're sampling it again. Yeah. So yeah, it just ends with some guy waving them in, with the airport things, the runway things.
Right, the sticks.
But just the way the camera's acting, we think that he's probably already been podified.
Yeah. But because he's in a military uniform and has military demeanor, it's difficult to tell.
That's right. So, Pretentious D, what are you going to rate Body Snatchers?
I would rate it maybe a 3, and I'll tell you what. One of the things I didn't like about it. I did like many things. I liked Meg Tilly. She's great. Mm-hmm. I thought adding the military base aspect was kind of interesting. What really I disliked is I did not care for Tim and Marty as characters. One of the things we've talked about before is needing to care about the characters who are experiencing the zombie invasion or whatever. Yeah. I just found her annoying, whiny little teenage, maybe I'm an old man.
But Tim was kind of a dick too.
I found him kind of a, Tim was the boyfriend.
Not Tim. I'm sorry. The father.
Yeah. The father's not great. But
Tim was just there.
Well, that's why.
This is the first good-looking guy I met on base, so I guess
I didn't buy the
now.
Well, what Tim reminded me most of was Twilight.
Okay.
The guy from Twilight, whatever the hell his name is.
He's better looking than that.
Well, but he's brooding.
Yeah, a little bit.
he's brooding, and she assumes that he's deep, but he's a bad boy, even though he's in the military.
Was he
He's
a bad
somehow
boy, though?
he's a bad boy in that he admits that he killed some people.
Well, but he's
He's in the military. But I think that's attracted to her because he has this dark side that can be brooding and
I just noticed
he's got some secrets. He's got some darkness.
They tried to put us on his side. They had to save the cat, but it saved the little brother.
Right.
By having him be the only person on the military base that notices this child is just running down the road and decides to do something about it. He's like, "Hey, little guy, where are you going?"
I just found them annoying and not sympathetic at all.
Okay.
Because she is upset at her father he's not a great father, but he's not abusive. He's doing the best he can, and she just wants to run around and drink and get laid, and that's fine, but don't. You're a teenager, but don't be all hostile and bitter at your parents because they don't want you drinking and getting laid when you're underage.
Well, the thing I didn't. So at one point she's like, "I can't wait till I'm 18." She's like, "Why? So I won't be your father anymore? I'm still gonna be your father." And she's like, "Eh." He's like, "You could just leave now if you want." And I'm like, "Jesus, Dad, what the fuck?" He's like, "Yeah, kids run away from home,
Right. Well, maybe it would have. Maybe she would have learned something.
I don't know. It just seemed like that was a pretty shitty attitude. Where he could just be like, he could have been a little more. Look, I know this is difficult having to move around like this, and it's probably. It seems like if he's just testing this stuff, this really should have been more of a business trip situation than to pick up the whole family and move them. It's not like he's in the military himself.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm not reading it that well, because I didn't care that much about what was going on with them. One of the analytical things was talking about in the Wikipedia article about the different families in the 3 different iterations of the film reflect the decline of the American family. Yeah. And I pushed back on that a little bit just because this family sucks doesn't mean...
The thing is, there aren't families in the other movies.
Well, that's true.
There's some groups of people that are hanging out together, but there's some married couples, but there's not full families.
This is true.
There's a kid, but he's not one of the main people.
Yeah.
So that falls
apart. I wasn't buying that, in part just because this family is annoying doesn't mean it's an indictment of the American family in general.
They don't seem like it's a blended family, but it's not a dysfunctional family. They don't tell us if he divorced the first wife, do they? She might have just died.
Yeah, that's unclear.
So it's not like they're some kind of bizarre modern. They're still a family.
Yeah,
and they're functioning. They have their problems, but
yeah. And again, Twilight Boy. I just didn't see why she would fall in love with him that quickly.
I don't think.
And again, I don't know
that she actually fell in love with him. She was just attracted to him.
She's attracted.
A bunch of shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Well, and also, he has been told that she's underage.
Yeah.
And he's continuing to associate with her after that.
Well,
so that's a little creepy.
Does he though? He does once shit starts hitting the fan.
Oh yeah. No.
They don't go on another date or anything after that.
Oh, okay.
Just everything starts falling apart.
Yeah.
So. Well, I'm going to give it three pods.
I'll give it 3.
3 flying saucers.
Even though I have problems with it, there were still some good parts. Meg Tilly is great. Forrest Whitaker is great.
So, should we do the invasion next?
I guess
just go ahead and keep going?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so next week will be a rerun, and then we'll do the invasion after that, folks. Until next time, I have been Precious D.
And I've been Pretentious D.
Remember to keep watching the skies. We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Mars Needs Movies.